Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Sense for Thoughts. I'm Mo, and today we're going back to old ways and we're doing a first wear diary where I'm giving Nishane's Unutamam a first wear live on camera for you guys. So we'll see how we get on. If you're not familiar, this is our first impressions series, but instead of just spraying it once and moving on, I'm going to be wearing this for the full day. I'll be talking about the opening, going back at the end of the day, before bed, talking about the dry down and how the first day went. So today's is Nishane's Unutamam. It is in this black 30 ml bottle, which is not very common for Nishane. Usually they come in the 50 ml or the 100 mls, which are a lot more luxurious. They're going for the full square kind of size bottle with the metal plaque and metal lid. It's a lot more luxurious in the regular presentation. This one is kind of like a bit of a throwaway with a plastic cap, a tiny bottle, fully lacquered. So even though this bottle is significantly worse than the 50 ml and 100 ml of Nishane, I don't particularly care too much. It's nice and black. It's quite sleek. It doesn't feel too cheap. Which is in hand, which is obviously would be a problem, but it doesn't necessarily feel too luxurious. But I don't really care for a luxurious bottle that much. Let's give this a spray and get on with it. This was gifted to me by my friend Daniel from the channel Seldomly Often. Thank you very much. When he came to visit, he gave me this beast and said it's quite strong, masculine and green. You're going to enjoy it. So I've been put off by a few reviews that say it's quite potent. It's not really appealing to most people, and I was waiting for an opportunity when weather got a little bit cooler. My wife is not at home, so today is the day. Let's go on with it. So let's give it a spray. We'll do 2 sprays, and we'll do one on the arm just for good measure. The atomizer is pretty good, I have to say, for such a small bottle. Typical Nishane atomizer leaves you with a good fair bit of juice. No complaints with the atomizer, even though the bottles are a bit worse. The atomizer seems to be all right. Okay, what on earth am I smelling here? It's very strong off the bat. There's an image that comes to mind, okay? It's a bit of a ridiculous image, but I'm imagining a very old school man, like a lumberjack, okay? And he is in his workshop. He's not that old. We're not going back the years. He has like one of those sawmills, and instead of sawing pure wood, he's for some reason, you know how you get like logs of wood and you cut it through and it's making all this sound and the sawdust going everywhere? He's sawing herbs, which is bizarre. Like hardy, woody herbs, lavender, rosemary, those kind of herbs, and he's really going at it. He's wearing a leather jacket, and maybe he's a little bit slightly unkempt. This is taking me to like the 80s, 90s, those kind of perfumes where they're very, very potent and strong and green. But this one is not really barbershop-y, which usually is the underlying theme, is that they go for a barbershop kind of feel. There's something fruity about it, but like overripe fruit, like almost to the point of rotting, you know? I can totally see why people would really dislike this off of the opening alone. I have to say, I'm inclined to like it. The fruitiness is kind of tropical. I don't know what it is, but something like an overripe fruit that's kind of rotting, like it's fallen off a tree in this kind of outdoor setting. Maybe the guy is doing this job outdoors, outside of his garage. It's very dense, green, jungly in a way. Soily in a way, leathery in a way, and it's got this hardened herbs kind of thing. But there's something fruity and rotten about it at the same time. Very interesting. I'm not sure how to feel about this. I really love it off the bat. It's instant like, whoa, this is compelling, this is interesting, I like it. It smells, it reminds me of Orto Parisi Risveglium in a way, where it's got that like metallic kind of harshness. There's something harsh and soily and green about both. And there's something fruity. The other one is citrusy grapefruit. This one is a bit more rosemary, lavender, and I don't know, some kind of like rotten fruit, like I don't know, papaya or something that's not very strong or distinctively fruity. Like the fruit has become so overripe that it's fallen onto the tree, falling from the tree onto the ground and kind of cracked, and all the juices are coming out. And like there's ants and animals trying to get in there and feast on it. But it's like, you know, when it's overripe, where it becomes like too much of a good thing, too sweet, too sugary. That's the image that comes to mind. Wow. I am lost for words with this one because I was not expecting it to be like this. I was expecting maybe something like animalic, you know, the typical stuff, something pissy, but this is like herbaceous and rotten at the same time. With a leathery undertone is how I would describe the opening of this one. Very, very interesting. I am intrigued how this will develop on skin, how this will wear, because it's very strong at the moment. I've done 3 sprays and it's very present in a great way. It's definitely polarizing, definitely will be difficult to pull off. You have to really rock this. Like, I feel like if I'm in the right mood, I can rock this, but this would not be like a dumb reach, like, oh yeah, I'm going to wear this to work every day kind of perfume. As it's drying down, the fruitiness that I was getting is kind of becoming more medicinal and herbal. But I'm thinking of like autumn time in a forest. And I'm on floor level, and there's herbs. There's this rotten fruit that's fallen off the tree, and there is dried, kind of dead leaves. Maybe there's like an animal has pissed on the tree a little bit. Like you've gone to that ground level, you know, you're not standing up, you're on the ground, and you're smelling these things. Wow, fascinating perfume so far. I'm very interested. Hopefully it wears off, because I know my wife will kill me and will despise this when she comes back home from work, but it's a risk I'm willing to take for you guys. So that was Unutamam's opening. I don't know what the inspiration behind this is. I don't know why it's called Unutamam. It's quite clearly a Turkish sounding word. I will research this. I will read the brief, the notes, as I get on with my day, and I'll be back for the dry down in the late evening before bed and let you guys know how this wore. But so far, very impressive opening, very bombastic opening, definitely polarizing, definitely old school, definitely masculine, definitely green and herbal and aromatic, a lot of dry, woody herbs with something odd and fruity. I don't know, I could be way off the mark with the fruity, rotten fruit thing, but I'll get back to you guys in approximately 8 hours or so. See you soon. Good morning, everyone. I'm back with the Nishane Unutamam. I wore this yesterday. I actually did not film the evening of. This is the next morning. And it's still kind of there. That's how strong it is. But I was filming a bunch of other stuff. We were filming the podcast and things got out of hand. So I decided to do the dry down the next morning. So let's talk about my experience wearing Unutamam for the first time by Nishane. Did have a quick read of the notes and the name and the brief just to try and get an understanding of the perfume a little bit better before I get on here. So Unutamam is indeed Turkish and it means unforgettable, and I think it's quite well named actually, because it's such a specific smell and it's such a powerful smell and it's such a unique smell that I would say yes, it is unforgettable. Like I will probably never smell anything similar to this. So after looking at the notes, we weren't really far off with our descriptions of the opening. There is no fruit note, but there is a caramel note, and caramel is the thing that made me think of those overripe, oversweet fruit that's kind of like dropped to the forest floor and cracked like a papaya or melon, and all the juices have kind of seeped out. So that's actually because of the caramel. The herbs, there's quite a lot of different herbs in there. Basically anything that is remotely aromatic herbaceous was thrown into this beast. And it is amazing. In terms of the Drydown, it's quite a linear scent from my experience. The everything kind of stays the same, and it just slowly fades away as the day goes on. After the first, opening splash, which is like a good first 15 to 30 minutes where it's super loud, it becomes a strong and steady performer. The caramel is still there throughout, but into the deep Drydown, the sweetness does subside dramatically and it becomes more of a mossy thing. So I'd say the only thing is just the freshness of the herbs, and the sweetness just dies down and you're left with this kind of mossy green texture. I have to say I'm very impressed with this Unutamam. If I was to summarize what this smells like and my experience of it, it smells like you are in a forest, but this forest is growing a lot of herbs. We're talking about rosemary, we're talking about thyme, we're talking about oregano, we're talking about mint, lavender. Any of these hardy kind of herbaceous aromatic kind of plants are growing there. And it has rained, but this rained the night before, and this is the daytime, and now the sun is out, and the water and all of these herbs are kind of evaporating. With the tree's moss, with the tree mosses like the oak moss, you can kind of feel that texture in your nose. It's absolutely phenomenal. I think the caramel is the party trick of this perfume. It makes it more modern than like a vintage masculine. This basically smells a bit like, and there's a link to Interlude Man. Interlude Man is like you took that same forest and you had a massive forest fire and it's been burning for some time. So it's that fire and smoke and oregano. Okay, it does dry down to a bit more ambery kind of vibe, but in terms of the opening, this is like the same forest from Interlude, but it hasn't lit yet. It's like in its most luscious green state. Okay, there is some wetness, some kind of swampiness going on with this one. I was just talking to a few friends earlier, and I said that it was potentially Shrek's signature scent. Why did I say that? Because it suits that swampy kind of vibe that Shrek lives in. I'm sure you guys know Shrek, right? And Shrek is quite a masculine man. Well, a masculine ogre. He's like an ogre's ogre. And this is kind of has some vintage feel with that oak moss and the aromatic herbal note in the lavender. So it's very, very interesting. I'm super happy to have this. It's definitely staying in my collection. 30ml is more than enough. It's the bottle, yeah, it's not the best. It's hiding some really green juice, I've noticed, on my skin. It's kind of turned a bit green from where I've sprayed it, which really suits the vibe of the whole perfume. But definitely be careful. Do not spray this one on clothes at all. It will be green and it will look very, very weird. I think I sprayed it a couple times today, and that was more than enough to give all-day performance. My wife, who's actually a hater of most of my perfumes, did not mind this one. She said it just smells like a field of herbs, which is a pro, I guess. She didn't really catch on any of the castoreum animalic kind of vibes, and she didn't find it too annoying, which is a huge pro. So I'm very excited and very happy to have this perfume. Highly, highly recommend it. Now, when it comes to wearability, you may struggle, okay? I think this is perfectly wearable. I'm going to wear this to work. Is it going to make people look at me a bit funny? Yes, and it will make people look at you funny because it's just such a weird smell that no one's really smelled before. It's like, whoa, what is that? You know, most will find it interesting. Now, interesting is not exactly a pro or a con. I think most people will be like, it's whatever. Like, I don't love it, but I'm not offended by it. There might be a few people that are like, whoa, this is amazing. What is this? I need to know what this is. It smells incredible. And then there's going to be a few that will just despise it. So it's one of those where I think it's perfectly wearable. You have to be in a very particular mood for this. I don't think I'm going to be like signature scenting this to work or anything. But I can totally see myself pulling this out every now and then when I want that kind of green, natural smell of herbaceous jungle with a bit of rain, huge dose of oak moss and a touch of castoreum to keep it interesting. And that sweet, almost sickly caramel. I'm not a huge fan of sweet notes, but in this one, it just makes it interesting. If it wasn't there, I don't think this would be as good. So I think it was used in a very intelligent way. So very, very happy with this one. Glad I can own it. Thank you again to my friend Daniel for giving me one of these. I know he loves it and I totally get it. To me, this is way more wearable than Interlude, personally. That might sound crazy, but the oregano smoke is like too crazy. But here the oregano is there, but it's got all of these other herbs. And then you have this oak moss castoreum thing, giving you that old school vibe. It's not as insane or intense. I feel like you could pull this off in any season as well. Hot, cold, whatever. So I think this is more wearable. The reason I keep mentioning Interlude is because of the oregano. Other than the oregano, they're really not alike, except in performance. They're both pretty strong. This one is not as strong as Interlude, if you like, but absolutely love it. Highly recommend this one for any niche head. If you're into niche perfumery, this is quite interesting. It's quite unique. It's a very cool take on a green frag, a traditional masculine frag. Don't listen to the reviews that say this is like burning tires or anything super crazy. It really isn't. Maybe if you are just venturing into niche, this might be a bit intense, but give it a go. I think it will get better with time, that's for sure. So yeah, that completes my first wear of Unutamam. Truly unforgettable, for sure, and I highly recommend you sample. Strong sample first, though, because even if you like it, you might not find enough wear opportunities for it. There's a big chance you might hate it, but give it a go. Thank you guys very much for watching, and see you next time.